What's up, my fellow Fuji friends, Fuji fans, and Fuji flakes? Today we're talking about the new Sigma 100-400 f5 to 6.3 lens for Fujifilm X mount cameras, and there is quite a lot to love about this lens, so let's get right to it. First of all, let's talk about what you get in the box, which is everything right here. You get a plastic lens hood, and you get a front and a rear lens cap. The thing you don't get is probably more important, which is a tripod collar. So the tripod collar does not come included with the lens. If you want it, you can purchase it separately, and you just peel off this rubberized grip at the back, and then you can put the tripod collar on right there, but it is not included in the box with the lens. Now, this is Sigma's second zoom lens in their contemporary line, and I reviewed the first lens in that line, the 18-50-2.8, and I really liked it, and I really like this one as well, so we're going to talk about why. But first, I'll just show you what's on the lens itself as far as functions. First of all, it is a twist zoom, but the cool thing is you can also push-pull it. So if you prefer to push-pull, you can just grab the front barrel, you're not going to hurt it or break it, and you can just push-pull it like that. Now, the reason I like that feature is because using multiple systems where some lenses zoom in going this way and some lenses zoom in going that way, sometimes I get confused. So this is an easy way to just not get confused. So you have the option there. It's got a lock right there if you want to lock the zoom. It's got a large zoom ring and a large, comfortable manual focus ring too. And both of these are placed very well for finding them with the camera at eye level, so I like the placement. Then you have a bunch of functions on the side here. You have the two optical stabilization modes. You have mode 1, which is the all-purpose mode, and then you have mode 2, which is a panning mode. Now, I use both of these modes, and they both work really great. I was very impressed with how many sharp images I was able to create, especially while filming a soccer match, where I was really doing a lot of panning and just holding my finger down on that button with my X-T5, and it did a great job. Then you have an actual autofocus button right on the lens itself, so if you want to activate AF from the lens, you just press that button. Another cool feature I liked a lot. You have a focus limiter switch, and you have an autofocus lock button where you can lock the AF right on the lens itself, and that'll shut off this button. As I mentioned, this is from Sigma's contemporary line, which is considered their budget-friendly line. But having said that, the lens is made really well. It feels good, has a hefty amount of plastic, but it doesn't feel cheap at all. And then it has sort of a rubberized feel to it on certain parts of it as well. Has a metal mount, and it's gasketed around the metal mount, so it has some weather resistance. The best thing about this lens, for me, the thing that I love more than anything, is the size. It's small and light. So I was able to shoot soccer, birds, kids with birds, kids playing soccer. No, I'm kidding. And whatever I did, I never felt like I needed my monopod. So it's really great to have a lens that you can get a full frame equivalent of 150 to 600 millimeters, and I didn't need to feel like it's heavy and burdensome. Now, I've reviewed some other lenses in this range in the past that are a lot bigger, a lot heavier, and I think the image quality of this is better than some of those lenses, so really getting a lot for your money here. I really appreciated not having to carry it around with the monopod. Now, if I was going out for like a full day of shooting, for an hour and a half that I shot a soccer game for, it's about an hour and a half, it was fine. I didn't need the monopod. However, I still feel like you do need to have the tripod collar, and you do want to get a monopod for obviously a full day of shooting. It's going to get heavy anyway, and then just for being more stable at the telephoto range. I love the size. I love it, and it really is, for the range you're getting, probably the most compact out there right now. I could be wrong about that, but it's definitely got to be one of the most compact in that range. All right, let's talk about the burning question that Fuji flakes, we always want to know. What's the autofocus like? I shot 2 cameras with this lens because I have an X-T4 and I have an X-T5, and I wanted to see the differences, and I kind of wanted to give the lens a fair shake with the older and the newer autofocus system that we have in our Fuji cameras. So let's talk about the X-T5 first. I was very impressed with the autofocus accuracy, stickiness, and the speed with this lens on the X-T5. And this is a stepping motor. However, it's super quiet. You can't hear anything. And even with the stabilizer on, you don't hear any weird noises coming out of the lens. It's very, very quiet. But I shot a soccer game where I basically followed, with my finger on the button, followed players, and using the 5th mode in the AFC custom settings, it did a fabulous job. I took 1,000 images in one day at a soccer game, and the majority of them were super sharp in great focus. Another thing that I'll say about it is that once I locked on to a person's face and the camera locked on to them, it completely disregarded everyone around them and stuck with them. So if someone ran in or out of the frame, it did a great job, the camera and the lens, of following and sticking with it. So great job to both Fuji and to Sigma on that AF speed. Very good. However, I did then put it on my X-T4. So I brought the X-T4 and the X-T5. So halfway through, I'm like, let me see how it does on the 4 now that I've seen it on Fuji's best autofocus system to date. So I put it on the X-T4, and the results were not as good. I'm gonna just say it. They were not as good, not nearly as good. They weren't terrible, the results, but on the X-T4, the camera had a much higher rate of images that were not crisp in focus. And the main thing is it didn't track as well. It lacked the stickiness that I got with the X-T5 when I was shooting on the X-T4. I did get a bunch of sharp images. I got good images. I was able to do what I needed to do with it, but it was not nearly as enjoyable because it was a little more difficult. That is a critique of probably the camera more than the lens itself. And for all of you who are using an older generation Fuji camera, that is me giving you the honest assessment. So now that we've talked about the features of the lens, the autofocus, it's time to talk about image quality. And again, this lens really shines in image quality. I was very impressed with the sharpness, the contrast, the color, and even the separation between the subject and the background. I used it for some portraits, and it looks pretty good. Now, you don't want to use a f5, is not going to be the ideal portrait lens, but you can definitely use it for some close-ups if you wanted to. I did find the color to be a little bit different, and this is not a scientific thing because I didn't scientifically test it, nor would I know how to. But for my taste, the Sigma lens, this particular Sigma lens, is a little bit slightly on the cooler side, color-wise, than my Fuji lenses. But color is excellent. The sharpness is excellent. And I feel like this is better for sure than some other third-party lenses in the similar range that I've tested in the past. I feel like this is sharper, giving you better quality from all ranges. Let's talk for a minute about what I don't like about the lens. And there's really not a lot to dislike about this, but the main thing I dislike about it is just the fact that they don't give you a tripod collar in the case. So you have to buy it separately, which is kind of silly because even though it's small and light, and like I said, you can hand hold it for a long day of shooting, you still need a tripod collar. You need it. It's something that's a necessity for any kind of lens, just for the telephoto, for stability, and also for balancing the camera and the lens properly. So I don't know why it's not included. I wish it would be included. Now, this was very different than my typical review. I wanted it to be a little bit more conversational, and I didn't really do it the way I usually do it. So for those of you who are following me for a while and you like the channel, let me know what you think about this format for reviewing stuff. If you like it this way better, I might continue to do so. If you say we hate it, I might not do it, but your opinion does matter to me. I'd like to know what you guys think. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, hit that like button, do all that good stuff. Here's wishing you a great day, everybody. Go out and take some awesome pictures, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.